Hello and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. This time we're going to be taking a look at Tier 17 Mythic Rogue gear. Now there is some Tier 17 normal Rogue gear floating around the internet, however, it just isn't working. It doesn't look right, hell the belts aren't even appearing, so because of that I'm going to withhold that to a future video so that I can actually show the thing off as Blizzard intends. I think it'll be a little bit unfair to show a crappy version of the armor and then say that that was the final product. Though of course this is still in alpha, but I think the bit of gear you're looking at now is going to be essentially the finished version of the Tier 17 Mythic Rogue gear. Now you're probably wondering, Tier 17 Mythic, what's that? Well, in Warlords, Mythic is the new equivalent of Heroic, and Mythic gear is going to have more kind of odds and ends on it. So this bit of gear, for an example, I think the helm is actually different in that it has that breather at the bottom, and they've got the two daggers on the waist, and just various little elements like that are added to give the Mythic Raiders just something, I don't know, a bit more cool to aim for. Hopefully this sort of thing is actually going to increase Mythic raiding participation. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, who the hell knows. Let's talk about the bit of gear. So, first of all, the helm is probably the first thing you noticed. The two eyes are interesting, I think it actually looks pretty cool, and then the whole breather thingy also looks really nice. It does harken back a little bit to some of that, well in my head anyway, to some of that ICC stuff, and it does look very techy, especially if you look at the sides and back of it. You've got these like weird pipe things going on, and yeah, it's interesting. It's funny because you've got the juxtaposition of that, and then the fact that if you look at the pants, they're just kind of regular old leather pants. Which is odd. It's interesting, but odd. Now, the shoulders of this bit of gear are still quite chunky, but quite a bit more just sort of, close to the body and not ridiculous, which is good. It definitely fits a rogue, and there have been times when Blizzard have put giant old spikes in rogue armor, and it hasn't looked that great. Well, no, they haven't done it this time, or at least they're not pointing upwards this time, and it looks well. As for the spikes that are in the bit of armor, well, they're dripping with goo, which is great. I think rogue things, I don't know, rogues just have this tendency of just dripping with, goo a little bit. And it suits them, it looks poisonous. If you ran into this guy and gave him a vicious hug, you'd probably end up in a hospital somewhere, coughing your guts out, dying because he poisoned you with his big, spiky things. Really cool looking. And just in general, I love the fact that you've got the kind of poison-laden daggers on the belt, you've got the little vials of poison on the chest, and then there's, well, poison just dribbling out of various parts of the gear. That's great, it's roguish, it fits the class well, and I think this is a bit of gear that really was just made for the class. It feels roguish. Okay, look, I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, I'm a rogue, I'm supposed to be in the shadows. Well, I suppose, yeah, maybe you don't want glowing things, but if you can turn invisible, who the hell cares if you're glowing if the glow is invisible, right? So, I think it's probably at this stage a little bit of a pipe dream to expect a bit of rogue gear that is completely, like, just stealthish, that looks like, it's all black with no lights or anything like that. That's maybe not going to happen with the way that Blizzard makes gear. However, at least in terms of being a poison sort of style rogue, this does fit in with the class, in my opinion, and overall it's a very nice bit of gear. Then just as a final note, I think the general armor does look really nice. It's got this nice leathery feel, I like the stitching on it, and it's cool to see, as I said earlier, the juxtaposition of the slightly technological looking stuff and then the regular old leather. If you want to get an idea of roughly what the normal mode version of this gear will look like, just take the breather off the helm, and then just tone down some of the little effects. I'm not too sure if the normal one droops acid, and it doesn't have the two daggers attached to the waist. But other than that, I think they're largely the same. Anyway, that's it for this video. Do let me know what you think about this piece of gear, and be sure to stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for all the latest Warlords of Draenor information. The info is coming thick and fast, and I'll be here to cover it. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.